now like to invite our special guest for the interview, Sandra Gortana, a graduate of our economics program here at York University. Sandra is an accomplished senior executive with over 28 years of internal audit experience and 37 years of financial services experience. Currently, she's the Senior Vice President and Deputy Chief Auditor at TD Bank Group. In addition to leading and building a great team of professional auditors based in North America and the UK, she's been selected to lead the overall TD Finance Black Experience, Inclusion, and Diversity Leadership Committee. Welcome, Sandra.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this event.
And Sandra, I was really intrigued to learn that you've actually been with the same organization for quite a while, but it's gone through was it 3 acquisitions?
3 acquisitions. You're correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't we learn a little bit about your career path then to start things off? Could you tell us a bit about your journey from graduating from York to your career and what role you think your education played in that career journey?
Sure. So I had the benefit, I think one of the great things with the university is that it afforded the opportunity to actually take classes full-time, but also work, which, for some students, having to work to help fund your tuition, et cetera, is important. So I did have that benefit. So I started off as a teller, when I say with organization number 1 that got acquired in one of the trust companies. It was called The Permanent. I'm not sure how many people would remember that, but we were open 6 days a week. And, we have pretty flexible hours. And then as I graduated from university, looking to find that full-time job, and I had the option to either work at one of the firms because I wanted to pursue my accounting designation or stay with the organization that I was at. And I chose to stay with the organization that I was with. And at that point, it had already gone through 1 acquisition. And so that would have been Canada Trust acquiring The Permanent. And so I worked in our pension trust department and administered their tax we had approximately 900 large pension funds that we managed for companies and managed all that for them. And then from there, I thought, did not like tax. I will say that right up front. I moved into the audit role. And so I did about 6 years there, loved it, progressed within the audit function, and then decided, wanted to do something different. One of the great things about auditing is that you get to travel to the locations where you're auditing. And so got to see most of Canada through work. And I moved into a risk management function. So either 2 different roles, operational risk and credit risk, great way to understand the organization a little bit better. And then the 3rd acquisition occurred. TD acquired Canada Trust, and I was just going on a family leave. And as I was leaving a month into, literally 2 weeks after my son was born, I was offered a job to come back to a little bit early from family leave. And back then, family leave wasn't a year or perhaps 18 months. To come back and head up the retail audit function within TD and actually see through the integration. And so I came back as a manager, and from there just skyrocketed. So I've been in audit since 2000. Great career, worked in different portfolios across the bank, in Canada, in the US, in the UK. Great experience learning all different parts, whether it be the retail operations, our wealth management operations, retail in the US, as well as most recently overseeing our finance and investment banking businesses. So great journey.
I almost forgot about TD's acquisition of Canada Trust. That was a huge deal when that happened.
Yep.
Just as an aside, that was also my first bank account was Canada Trust. Now nobody knows what Canada Trust is, but those are a lot of pieces on the career journey. And of course, we're here today to provide a networking opportunity for our students. So I wondered if you could tell us a bit about how networking facilitated your career development. What role did it play? Did you work with mentors?
Yeah, so that's actually one of the things that I'll encourage everyone on the call to really leverage and take part of when those opportunities present themselves. When I was leaving university, I felt it was a daunting exercise. Their mentoring really wasn't something that took place. It was more about who you knew at that point, and creating those connections is sometimes a little bit difficult. And it's great to see that the university is enabling these opportunities. And like I said, I may have participated in a few over the years. It's been a while, but I think it's important if those opportunities present themselves. It does afford you to, one, create connections in the industry. Understanding, sometimes you come out thinking, what role can I have? Did I ever think I was going to be in internal audit? I didn't go in thinking that that was going to be the role. And you'll hear from some of your mentors today, the journey that, or the opportunities that present themselves with your university degree, it's quite broad. And if you have an open mind, you can move into so many different parts of the industry and have a fruitful career. So I would encourage mentoring. Establish those connections. I take a lot of invites, through LinkedIn. Don't know the individuals. I try to do it with Waterloo, U of T, York University, some folks in London as well through Western. They'll see my name. There might be a post that we have on the TD website. They'll invite me to connect and then reach out and ask a question. And if I've got the time, I'll respond.
Yeah, that has to be a big difference. Digital networking and using LinkedIn, especially as a tool for making connections. And of course, leveraging the opportunity that you might have to connect with alumni from your university, which kind of builds in, I guess, a natural connection, at least, or a starting point.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories that you could share about mentors who maybe advised you during the course of your career development? What kind of advice they provided?
So I'll say that maybe not traditional mentors, but from early onset. One is my mom. So my mother's an immigrant, probably has the equivalent of grade 5 education. But when her and my dad immigrated to Canada, my mom came across on a ship at the age of 16 by herself. Her dad was here already, my grandfather, and my father followed about 2 years later, and they married when they were here in Canada. And, she's a strong woman. And one of the things that she's always encouraged both myself and my siblings is that she didn't have these opportunities when she was back home. And she wanted to ensure that we went to university. She did everything that she could, if it meant working 2 jobs, et cetera, to help support us so that we could have those opportunities. So she's my first sort of vote of encouragement to continue and pursue more. The other, though, is my sister, and she's 6 years older than me. She's also a CPA, and a lot of my journey in trying to understand what existed at the time when I was going through university, what programs, what studies to take, what university to attend. My sister did not go to York University. I did. I chose to come. It was my personal decision to come to the university, even though I was accepted at everywhere where I had applied.
Great choice.
But I wanted
great choice.
It is a great choice. I wanted to stay close to home. I saw some of the, maybe challenges that she had, even though maybe it was fun to be away from home and et cetera. But I saw some of the benefits of being local. And then just having the university close by. I didn't live too far, and I still don't live too far from the university. But my sister was a great mentor. She struggled to get to where she was through the program. And I think a little bit was because of the choices that she had made. And so I learned from her opportunities. And, I'm here, I'm at TD now, enjoying a great career. And I have to thank her. And then my one other mentor within the organization that I really kind of lean on, he was not part of the bank. He was actually one of the firms that used to audit the banks, one of our external auditors. We made a connection during the integration of TD and Canada Trust. And we stayed connected. He ended up joining TD, maybe 10 years later, and we have a great relationship today. At one point, he was my boss, and now I oversee his business, not directly, but oversee his business from an audit perspective. So the worlds have turned, but it's a great opportunity to leverage thought, experiences from other individuals.
Yeah, those are really good examples, I think, for everybody to think about here, that, mentorship is not, it's not a linear path, and the mentor is not always someone who's like your direct report in an organization where you might be working. It could be someone in a completely different organization, and of course, family members, super important. And for many of our students, their parents have emigrated to Canada, or themselves are the first generation who have emigrated to Canada as well. And the same for my parents as well, coming to Canada and providing, if not direct mentorship, a kind of role model. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of role model for you. And that's maybe another way for students to think about this. Like, who are your role models as you're going forward? They could be professors, they could be colleagues within your classes, classmates. What advice would you give students about how they can make the most of opportunities that might be available to them, particularly around networking?
One is take advantage of the opportunities when they're presented to you. I think about myself back when I was graduating from university. I would see myself more as an introvert. I was a little on the shy side. If you walked into a class, I was always at the back because I didn't want to get picked on to answer a question, because I was always nervous. People are going to think if I answer it wrong, people are going to think, oh my God, what is she doing in this classroom? So I was always a little bit on the shy side. And this is an opportunity where there's no wrong. You're asking questions. You should ask those questions. What is it that, and be open, and obviously don't go and ask personal questions of the mentor that you're meeting with, right? But when it comes to work, like, we all went through experiences. It's not like the world was presented to you on a silver platter and you went out there and you started making a success. Like, I have a 37-year career to get to where I am today, but every part of that journey is important. And it's not always a ladder, like, going up as if you're going up a staircase. You're going to find times where you make a few steps up. You might need to take a couple of lateral moves. You might even take a couple of steps backwards in order to maybe gain a different perspective, different experiences, that make you a better, well-rounded individual that's better suited then for more broad roles. And so that's a little bit of my experience. It was a little bit of that, side step, forward step, back step. And, I am where I am today. And, ask those questions. I'm sure you'll find lots of connections when you're speaking to the mentor, and they'll help you to sort of envision opportunities that, one, maybe you didn't even consider, two, ways to maybe navigate a little bit easier. So yeah, I would encourage you to ask those questions. Try not to be shy. Think a little bit outside of your, take that extra step, put yourself outside of your comfort zone in order to, get the best of the experience.
Yeah, and you make really good points about, I guess, a kind of mindset of openness. So, and I've heard this from many alumni, they graduate in a particular program, in a particular degree, they start in a particular career path, and then it moves in sometimes unpredictable ways. And you end up discovering that there are other areas, maybe still within the sector that you're interested in, that you actually end up loving. And you discover you don't like tax and you like auditing instead. And who knows, maybe someone out there starts in auditing and likes tax. I don't know.
Yep.
It's possible.
For sure.
So I guess the last point here for everyone who's joined us is you've already made a great first step. You've joined an event for networking where you're going to get to connect with alumni here. And that's really key. There are a lot of activities that happen outside the classroom that are really important for generating opportunities to network, but you can do it in the classroom as well, connecting with your course instructors and your professors. And you're going to have an opportunity to do some networking now. So I want to thank Sandra for sharing some information about her experience during this interview. And the students, I'm sure you're all eager to get started with the networking sessions, start asking questions and to learn about all of the mentors that we have here today. Thanks, Sandra.